First contact. The quantum stabilizer hummed with an ethereal blue glow as Kira Blackwood made the final adjustments to her equipment. The basement laboratory of Quantum Dynamics Research Institute was silent except for the gentle whir of cooling fans and the occasional beep from monitoring systems. Outside, Seattle's perpetual rain tapped against the reinforced windows, creating a soothing rhythm that helped her focus. At 32, Kira had already revolutionized quantum physics twice. Her first breakthrough came with the development of quantum entanglement enhancement, and now she was on the verge of something even bigger. The project started as an attempt to improve quantum computing, but she'd stumbled onto something far more significant, a way to manipulate spacetime at the quantum level. Running final sequence, she muttered, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The stabilizer's hum deepened, and the air around it seemed to shimmer like heat waves rising from hot pavement. This was attempt number 47, and each failure had taught her something new. The monitoring equipment showed promising readings. The quantum field was holding steady, something that had never happened before. Kira's heart raced as she initiated the second phase. If this worked, she would have proof that controlled quantum tunneling was possible, the first step toward practical teleportation technology. A soft chime from her security system interrupted her concentration. Someone had entered the building, which was unusual at 2 a.m. The institute's security was top-notch, requiring multiple layers of authentication. Whoever had gotten in had proper clearance. "Computer, show security feed," Kira commanded, not taking her eyes off the stabilizer readings. A holographic screen materialized beside her, displaying the building's security cameras. The feed cycled through empty corridors until reaching the main elevator, where the image was suspiciously distorted. Something cold settled in Kira's stomach. She'd designed the security system herself, and it didn't just glitch. Someone was using sophisticated technology to avoid detection. The quantum stabilizer continued its sequence, but Kira's attention was now split between the experiment and the security feeds. She could abort the test, but she was so close to a breakthrough. Just 3 more minutes and she'd have conclusive data. The laboratory door slid open with a pneumatic hiss. Kira spun around, expecting to see security or perhaps one of her colleagues. Instead, she found herself facing a figure that definitely wasn't human. The being stood nearly 7 feet tall, with iridescent silver-blue skin that seemed to shift colors in the laboratory's harsh lighting. Its form was humanoid but more elegant, with elongated limbs and movements that seemed to flow like liquid mercury. But what caught Kira's attention were its eyes, solid white orbs that somehow conveyed both intelligence and deadly purpose. "Dr. Kira Blackwood," the alien spoke, its voice a melodious contralto that seemed to resonate in her bones. "Your work ends tonight." Kira's mind raced through possible responses, from denial to pleading, but her scientific curiosity won out. "You're beautiful," she blurted out, immediately wondering if those would be her last words. The alien paused, its head tilting slightly. "An unusual final observation," it said, taking a step forward. "Most humans react with fear." "Oh, I'm terrified," Kira admitted, glancing at her quantum stabilizer. The sequence was nearly complete. "But I'm also a scientist." "Are you here because of my research?" "Your species is not ready for quantum manipulation technology," the alien stated, drawing what appeared to be a weapon, a slim cylinder that hummed with energy. "The Nexus Confederation cannot allow Earth to develop instantaneous transport capability. The resulting chaos would destabilize this entire sector." Kira nodded slowly, her mind working furiously. "I understand. But before you kill me, can I show you something? Something that might change your mind about humans not being ready?" The alien's weapon remained steady, but Kira sensed hesitation. "You have 30 seconds. Kira turned to her computer console, aware of the alien's presence behind her. "What's your name?" she asked as she pulled up her research data. "I'd like to know who's going to kill me." Zara X, the alien replied after a moment's pause. Though it hardly matters. It matters to me, Zara X, Kira said, bringing up a holographic display of her quantum field calculations. Look at this. Really look at it. These aren't just transport equations. Zara X stepped closer, its white eyes scanning the complex mathematical formulas floating in the air. Kira saw the exact moment understanding dawned, the alien's posture shifted subtly, and its weapon lowered a fraction of an inch. This is impossible, Zara X whispered. These are quantum stability matrices. But they're far more advanced than anything in the Confederation database. Because I approached the problem differently, Kira explained, excitement overtaking her fear. I wasn't trying to create a teleportation system. I was looking for a way to stabilize quantum fields on a macro scale. Transportation would just be a side effect. The quantum stabilizer chimed, indicating the sequence was complete. Both human and alien turned to look at the device, which now projected a perfectly stable quantum field, something that should have been impossible according to current physics understanding. If I'm reading your reaction correctly, Kira said carefully, this technology might be more important than either of us realized. Zara X was silent for a long moment, its weapon now pointing at the floor. The Confederation has been searching for this solution for centuries. We've lost entire star systems to quantum instability. Your research, it could save billions of lives. Then maybe, Kira suggested, instead of killing me, you could help me perfect it? Before Zara X could respond, alarms blared throughout the building. Red emergency lights began flashing, and Kira's computer displayed multiple security breaches. They followed me, Zara X said, weapon snapping back up but now pointing at the laboratory door. The Shadowlight Syndicate. They must have tracked my ship. The who? Kira asked, already moving to secure her research data. A criminal organization that deals in forbidden technology. They're far more dangerous than the Confederation. Zara X moved to cover both Kira and the quantum stabilizer. They won't simply kill you, they'll extract every bit of knowledge from your mind, then sell it to the highest bidder. Kira finished the emergency data transfer and began the laboratory's containment sequence. I'm guessing this is where you tell me we need to run? No, Zara X replied, a hint of what might have been amusement in its voice. This is where I tell you that running isn't enough. We need to disappear. The laboratory door exploded inward in a shower of metal and sparks. Through the smoke, Kira could see multiple figures advancing, some human, some definitely not. Zara X pushed her behind a workbench as energy weapons began firing. I hope you trust me, Dr. Blackwood, Zara X said, producing a small device from its suit. Considering you were just planning to kill me? Kira replied, clutching her backup drive. Not really. But I'm running out of options. Zara X activated the device, and the world around them began to blur. The last thing Kira saw was her quantum stabilizer overloading in a brilliant flash of blue light, destroying any trace of her research. Then everything went dark, and she felt herself falling through space itself. The assassin had become her protector, and Kira's understanding of the universe would never be the same. The hunt begins. Consciousness returned to Kira like a slowly focusing camera lens. She found herself lying on cool metal grating, the air around her carrying an unfamiliar metallic tang. As her vision cleared, she realized she was in what appeared to be a spacecraft, sleek, organic curves melded with advanced technology she couldn't begin to comprehend. The spatial displacement sickness will pass, Zara X's voice came from somewhere above her. Humans typically require several minutes to adjust. Kira pushed herself to a sitting position, fighting down a wave of nausea. Where are we? My ship, currently in high orbit around your moon. Zara X moved into view, its silver-blue skin seeming to shimmer under the ship's ambient lighting. We needed to put distance between ourselves and the Syndicate operatives. The moon? Kira stood shakily, making her way to what appeared to be a viewing port. Earth hung in the void like a marble of blue and white, impossibly beautiful and suddenly very far away. How long was I out? Approximately 17 minutes, Zara X replied, manipulating holographic controls with fluid grace. The syndicate has already placed a bounty on both of us. They're claiming we stole experimental technology from them. Kira laughed darkly. Technically, I did steal something, my own research. She patted the pocket containing her backup drive. Everything else was destroyed in the lab explosion. A wise precaution, Zara X acknowledged. But it makes our situation more precarious. You are now the only source of this knowledge, which makes you infinitely more valuable. The ship's interior suddenly pulsed with red light, and alien symbols flashed across multiple displays. Zara X moved with increased urgency, its movements sharp and precise. We have company, the alien announced. 3 syndicate vessels just emerged from quantum space. They're using advanced tracking technology, something they shouldn't have access to. Kira watched as 3 dark shapes appeared against the star field, their designs entirely alien yet somehow predatory. What are our options? We fight, we run, or we hide. Zara X's hands danced across the controls. Fighting 3 ships would be suicide. Running will only delay the inevitable. That leaves us with hiding, but we'll need help. The ship banked sharply, accelerating away from Earth. Kira gripped a handrail as artificial gravity struggled to compensate. I'm guessing you have somewhere in mind? There's an old friend who owes me a favor, a smuggler named Ren who operates out of Europa Station. He specializes in making things and people disappear. Zara X paused, those ethereal white eyes fixing on Kira. But reaching him will be dangerous. The station is technically neutral territory, but the syndicate has informants everywhere. A warning tone filled the cabin as energy weapons fire streaked past their ship. The pursuing vessels were gaining ground, their superior numbers allowing them to begin coordination tactics. We don't have much choice, Kira said, strapping herself into what appeared to be a passenger seat. Unless you've got another plan? Actually, Zara X replied, a note of calculation entering its voice, I might. Your quantum stabilizer technology, could you recreate a smaller version? Something portable? Kira's mind raced through the possibilities. Maybe, with the right materials. The principles should work at any scale. Why? Because the syndicate's tracking system relies on quantum entanglement. If we could disrupt it. Zara X let the thought hang as the ship executed a series of evasive maneuvers. We could blind them, Kira finished, excitement building despite their dire situation. I'd need specialized equipment, rare materials. Europa Station has black markets that sell everything from antimatter to zero-point modules, Zara X said, plotting a complex course through space. If we can reach it. Another blast rocked the ship, this one closer. Warning lights indicated shield damage on the port side. Zara X's hands moved in a blur across the controls, and suddenly they were plunging toward Jupiter's largest moon. We've got maybe 30 minutes before they catch us, Zara X announced. I need you to start listing everything you'd need to build a portable quantum disruptor. Be specific, we'll only get one chance to gather supplies. Kira pulled out her backup drive, reviewing her research notes. As she worked, she couldn't help but marvel at how quickly her life had changed. 24 hours ago, she had been a respected physicist working on theoretical problems. Now she was in an alien ship, running from space criminals, planning to build experimental technology in a black market space station. I should be terrified, she muttered to herself. You're not? Zara X asked, somehow having heard her over the ship's systems. Oh, I am, Kira admitted, continuing to work on her materials list. But I'm also more excited than I've ever been in my life. Is that strange? Zara X was silent for a moment, focused on piloting. Finally, it said, in my experience, the most dangerous humans are the ones who find excitement in terror. You continue to prove fascinating, Dr. Blackwood. Call me Kira, she replied, adding another item to her list. I think we're past formalities, considering you've kidnapped me to save my life. A sound emerged from Zara X that might have been a laugh, a musical trill that seemed to resonate with the ship's hull. Indeed we are, Kira. Though I suspect saving your life will prove to be the easy part of our journey. Europa Station grew visible in their forward view, a massive structure of metal and light, clinging to the icy moon's surface like a mechanical spider. Hundreds of ships moved in precise patterns around it, a dance of commerce and survival on the edge of human space. Ready for this? Zara X asked, beginning their approach. Kira looked at her completed list, then at the magnificent view before them. Not even slightly. But let's do it anyway. The ship dove toward the station, 3 syndicate vessels still in pursuit, as human and alien prepared to take their first steps into a dangerous new partnership. The hunt was on, and the hunters were about to become the hunted. Hidden truths. Europa Station rose before them like a city of steel and starlight, its massive docking arms extending into space like metallic tentacles. Kira watched in awe as Zara X's ship wove through the dense traffic, the pursuing syndicate vessels temporarily held at bay by the station's strict approach protocols. Welcome to the edge of civilization, Zara X announced, guiding their ship into a dimly lit docking bay far from the main thoroughfares. Stay close to me, trust no one, and whatever you do, don't stare at the Voraxians, they take it as a challenge. The moment they stepped off the ship, Kira was overwhelmed by the sensory assault of the station. The air was thick with the scents of alien spices and machine oil, while countless languages, both human and decidedly not, created a constant background hum. Beings of all descriptions moved through the crowded corridors, some recognizably humanoid, others defying easy classification. Your contact, Kira whispered as they moved through the crowds, can we trust them? Ren? Zara X's silver-blue skin shifted colors slightly, a sign Kira was learning to read as amusement. Absolutely not. But he's predictable in his unreliability, which makes him useful. They wound their way deeper into the station's industrial sector, where the pristine corridors gave way to grimy maintenance tunnels and makeshift markets. Zara X led them through a maze of passages until they reached a nondescript door marked with symbols Kira couldn't read. The door slid open to reveal a sprawling workshop filled with technology from a dozen worlds. In the center, hovering above a workbench, was what appeared to be a mass of floating tentacles arranged around a central eye. Zara X, the creature called out in perfect English, its tentacles rippling with bioluminescent patterns. Have you finally come to kill me, or do you need another favor? Both, if you're not careful, Ren, Zara X replied, though Kira detected warmth in the alien's tone. We need supplies, information, and a place to work. Ren's central eye swiveled to focus on Kira, its pupil dilating. A human? You've never brought a human before. This must be important. More than you know, Zara X said, producing a list of the materials Kira needed. Can you get these? Ren's tentacles danced as he examined the list, patterns of light racing along their length. Quantum stabilization components? Interesting. Very interesting. You're playing with dangerous forces, my friends. Can you get them or not? Zara X pressed. Of course I can get them. The question is, can you afford them? Ren's eye narrowed. And are you prepared for what happens when certain parties realize what you're building? Kira stepped forward. What do you mean, certain parties? Ren's tentacles stilled, all bioluminescence fading. You don't know, do you? The quantum disturbances, the failing stars, it's not natural. Someone's been experimenting with quantum manipulation on a massive scale. The syndicate's just a puppet. There are bigger players in this game. Zara X's posture shifted subtly, becoming more alert. Explain. 3 months ago, I acquired data from a damaged research vessel. It showed evidence of artificial quantum destabilization in the Carina sector. Someone's trying to weaponize spacetime itself. Ren's tentacles began moving again, but slower, more deliberate. When I tried to sell the information, my buyers started dying. Something big is happening, and your human friend's research is somehow connected. Kira's mind raced. My stabilization theory, it could be reversed. If someone figured out how to destabilize quantum fields on a stellar scale, they could collapse entire star systems, Zara X finished. That's why the Confederation sent me. They must have detected the disturbances but couldn't identify the source. A sudden explosion rocked the station, causing tools and equipment to rattle on their shelves. Emergency alerts began blaring through the station's communication system. It seems, Ren observed dryly, that your pursuers have found a way around station security. How inconvenient. Zara X was already moving, checking weapons and scanning exits. We need those supplies now, Ren. Name your price. For this level of trouble? Ren's eyes swiveled between them. Information. I want to know everything you discover about who's behind this. Knowledge is the only currency that matters when the universe itself is at stake. Done, Kira said before Zara X could respond. But we need to work fast. If someone's really weaponizing my research, we might be the only ones who can stop them. Ren's tentacles flared with bright patterns. The storage room in the back. Everything you need is there. I've been collecting components for months, waiting for the right buyer. Consider it an investment in continued existence. As they rushed to gather the supplies, another explosion shook the station, closer this time. Kira could hear weapons fire and screaming in the distance. One more thing, Ren called after them. The data showed something else, quantum signatures I've never seen before, coming from somewhere in the Arcturus system. If you survive this, you might want to look there for answers. Zara X paused at the back exit, looking back at the floating alien. Why help us, Ren? Really? Because, my deadly friend, I've seen too many stars die recently. The universe is changing, and not for the better. Ren's eye fixed on them with sudden intensity. Someone needs to do something about it. Why not a rogue assassin and a brilliant human? As they fled through the maintenance tunnels with their precious supplies, Kira's mind whirled with implications. Her research, meant to advance human understanding, had somehow become caught in a web of cosmic warfare. The weight of that responsibility should have terrified her, but instead, she felt a fierce determination growing. Zara X, she said as they ran, I hope you're ready for a real partnership, because this just became about more than keeping me alive. The alien assassin's skin rippled with colors Kira hadn't seen before, determination, perhaps, or anticipation. I was wondering when you'd realize that, Kira. The question is, are you ready to help save the galaxy? Kira smiled grimly as they rounded another corner, the sounds of pursuit growing louder behind them. Ready? No. But I'm going to do it anyway. The chase was no longer just about survival. Now it was a race against time to prevent a disaster that could reshape the very fabric of spacetime itself. And somewhere in the Arcturus system, answers awaited, if they could stay alive long enough to find them. The Awakening. The quantum containment field hummed softly as Kira made the final adjustments to their makeshift laboratory. They had found refuge in an abandoned mining outpost on Ganymede, Jupiter's largest moon. The facility's thick ice walls provided natural shielding against detection, while its outdated but functional power core gave them the energy they needed. The portable stabilizer is nearly complete, Kira announced, wiping sweat from her forehead. The device on her workbench looked deceptively simple, a sleek cylinder about the size of her forearm, its surface etched with complex circuitry that seemed to shift and flow in the dim light. Zara X looked up from the holographic display where it had been analyzing the data stolen from Europa Station. You've achieved in days what the Confederation couldn't do in centuries. It's remarkable. Don't compliment me yet, Kira replied, making another microscopic adjustment. We still don't know if it will work. And even if it does. She trailed off, the weight of their discovery heavy in her voice. They had spent the last 3 days piecing together the truth, and it was worse than they imagined. The quantum destabilization events weren't just weapons tests, they were part of a calculated plan to reshape the galaxy itself. Someone was deliberately collapsing star systems to create what Zara X called dark zones, regions of space where normal physics broke down completely. You're thinking about the Arcturus signal again, Zara X observed, moving to stand beside her. The aliens' presence had become oddly comforting over the past few days, a constant in their chaotic situation. How could I not? If Ren's data is correct, someone out there has taken my stabilization theory and reversed it completely. They're not just destroying stars, they're creating tears in spacetime itself. Kira activated the final sequence on the stabilizer, watching as it powered up successfully. The question is, why? Before Zara X could respond, their security system chimed a warning. Something had triggered the outer perimeter sensors. Both human and alien froze, eyes fixed on the monitoring screens. Multiple contacts, Zara X reported, hands moving to weapons. But something's wrong. These readings, they're not syndicate forces. The security feeds showed dark figures moving through the ice tunnels leading to their position. Their movements were unnaturally smooth, almost liquid, and the sensors couldn't seem to get a clear lock on them. Quantum shadows, Kira whispered, the term coming to her instinctively. They're using some kind of localized field manipulation to exist partially out of phase with normal spacetime. That's impossible, Zara X stated, but its tone suggested otherwise. That kind of technology would require a working quantum destabilizer, Kira finished. Looks like we found our mysterious experimenters. Or rather, they found us. The lights flickered as reality itself seemed to shudder around them. The quantum shadows were getting closer, their presence disrupting the very fabric of space. Kira grabbed the portable stabilizer, activating it for the first time. The device hummed to life, projecting a faint blue field that pushed back against the encroaching distortions. It works, she breathed, watching the quantum shadows recoil from the stabilized zone. Zara X, we can use this too. She turned to find the alien staring at a new message on their communications array. The text was in an alien script Kira couldn't read, but Zara X's reaction told her everything she needed to know. What is it? She asked, already dreading the answer. A transmission from the Confederation, Zara X replied, its voice unnaturally still. They're claiming responsibility for the quantum shadow program. It's being authorized by the High Council itself. The revelation hit Kira like a physical blow. Your own people? But why would they? Control, Zara X cut in, its skin shifting to darker hues. With this technology, they could reshape space itself, create choke points and barriers that would give them absolute control over interstellar travel. They could isolate entire species, contain any perceived threats. And you knew nothing about this? I was told you were a threat to galactic stability. Zara X's white eyes fixed on her, filled with an emotion Kira couldn't quite read. They weren't wrong, but not in the way I thought. Your research doesn't threaten the galaxy. It threatens their power. Another tremor shook the facility as the quantum shadows pressed closer. The portable stabilizer's field was holding, but Kira could see power fluctuations in its core. They had minutes at most. We need to make a choice, she said, checking the device's readings. This prototype can't maintain the field forever. Once it fails, those things will be able to reach us. We can try to run, or... Zara X prompted, though its posture suggested it already knew what she was thinking. Or we can use it to track the quantum signatures back to their source. Find out where these shadows are coming from and stop this at its root. Kira met the alien's gaze steadily. But we'd be going up against your entire confederation. Zara X was silent for a long moment, its skin cycling through colors Kira had never seen before. Finally, it spoke. The confederation I served believed in protection, not domination. What they're doing, it goes against everything we're supposed to stand for. So you're with me? Kira asked, allowing herself a small smile despite their dire situation. Until the end, Zara X replied, its own mouth curving in what Kira had learned was its version of a smile. Though I hope you have a plan, because those shadows are nearly through. Kira turned back to her workbench, quickly gathering specific components. Remember how I said the stabilizer was nearly complete? I might have left out the part where I made some modifications to the design. What kind of modifications? The kind that could turn it from a shield into a weapon, if we're willing to take the risk. Kira's hands moved swiftly, making final adjustments. We can use their own quantum manipulation against them, create a cascade effect that should disrupt their entire shadow network. Should? Zara X asked, moving to cover the main entrance. Well, it could also tear a hole in spacetime and drop us into another dimension. Kira shrugged, trying to hide her nervousness. But at this point, I'm willing to take that chance if you are. The facility shook again, more violently this time. Through the ice walls, they could see dark shapes moving, reality bending around them like light through water. The moment of truth had arrived. Zara X's hand found Kira's shoulder, squeezing gently. Whatever happens, I'm glad I failed to kill you. Likewise, Kira replied, her finger hovering over the stabilizer's activation sequence. Ready to help me save the galaxy? Always. As the quantum shadows breached their final defenses, Kira initiated the sequence that would either save them or tear reality apart. The stabilizer pulsed with energy, and the world around them began to shift in ways that defied description. Their journey had brought them to this moment, a human scientist and an alien assassin, standing together against forces that threatened the very fabric of spacetime itself. The true awakening was about to begin. Breaking dawn. The universe bent. There was no other way to describe what happened when Kira activated the modified quantum stabilizer. Reality itself seemed to fold around them, creating patterns that human eyes were never meant to see. The quantum shadows that had been pursuing them writhed and distorted, caught in the cascading wave of stabilized spacetime. Hold on! Kira shouted, though her voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The stabilizer in her hands pulsed with energy, its surface growing hot enough to burn. The device is locking onto their quantum signature. Zara X moved closer, its own form seeming to shift and flow in the disrupted space. The shadows, they're being pulled back to their point of origin. So are we, Kira confirmed, watching as the readings on the stabilizer's display spiraled into impossible numbers. We're riding their own quantum wake. Wherever they came from, that's where we're going. The abandoned mining facility dissolved around them, replaced by a swirling vortex of spacetime distortions. Through the chaos, Kira caught glimpses of other places, distant stars, alien worlds, the vast emptiness between galaxies. The universe was laying itself bare before them, showing them paths and connections that shouldn't exist. Then, with a sound like reality itself taking a breath, everything snapped back into focus. They found themselves standing in a vast chamber that seemed to be carved from living crystal. Enormous machines hummed with familiar energy, quantum manipulators, but on a scale that made Kira's prototype look like a child's toy. And everywhere, quantum shadows moved with purpose, their fluid forms now clearly visible as extensions of the technology around them. The Arcturus facility, Zara X breathed, its skin shifting to deep, warning colors. The heart of the Confederation's quantum manipulation program. Impressive, isn't it?" The new voice echoed through the chamber, and a figure stepped forward from among the shadows. It appeared humanoid but was composed entirely of shifting quantum energy, its form barely contained within the boundaries of normal spacetime. "High Counselor Vorax," Zara-X said, its tone carrying both recognition and disgust. "You're behind all of this." "Behind it?" The quantum being laughed, the sound distorting the air around it. "I am its culmination. The perfect fusion of consciousness and quantum manipulation. This is the future of all species, the next step in evolution." Kira's mind raced as she took in the implications. "You're using my stabilization theory to transform people?" "To elevate them," Vorax corrected. "Your research was the key we'd been searching for. The ability to stabilize quantum fields didn't just allow us to control spacetime, it let us transcend it entirely." The being gestured to the quantum shadows around them. "These are just the first step. Soon, we'll be able to convert entire populations, free them from the limitations of physical form." "Free them?" Zara-X's voice shook with rage. "You're talking about forced evolution, about destroying what makes each species unique." "I'm talking about survival." Vorax's form flared with energy. "The universe is chaos, endless conflict between countless species. But if we control the very fabric of reality, if we can transform all sentient beings into creatures of pure quantum energy, we can create perfect order." Kira felt the stabilizer pulse in her hands, resonating with the energy around them. A theory began to form in her mind, crazy, desperate, but possibly their only chance. "You're wrong," she said, taking a step forward. "The universe isn't chaos, it's balance. Every quantum field, every piece of spacetime, exists in perfect equilibrium. What you're doing isn't evolution, it's corruption." Vorax's form rippled with what might have been amusement. Bold words from a being still bound by flesh. "Perhaps you should experience transcendence firsthand." The quantum shadows began to move toward them, their forms rippling with deadly purpose. Kira felt Zara-X tense beside her, ready for what might be their final stand. "Zara-X," Kira whispered, "do you trust me?" "Always," came the immediate response. "Then get ready to run. What I'm about to do, it's either going to save everything or tear reality apart." Before Vorax could react, Kira initiated the stabilizer's final sequence, not to contain quantum energy, but to release it in a very specific way. She had realized something during their quantum jump: the universe wasn't just balanced, it was self-correcting. Push too far in one direction, and it would push back. The stabilizer's core began to overload, but instead of trying to contain the energy, Kira directed it into the facility's own systems. The quantum manipulators that powered Vorax's transformation process suddenly found themselves handling far more energy than they were designed for. "What are you doing?" Vorax's form fluctuated wildly. "Stop this at once." "I'm letting the universe restore balance," Kira replied, watching as reality itself began to ripple around them. "You wanted to control quantum fields? Let's see how you handle all of them at once." The chamber erupted into chaos as quantum energy cascaded through the facility's systems. The shadows began to dissolve, their artificial quantum states unable to maintain cohesion under the strain. Vorax's form started to fragment, its carefully controlled transformation unraveling. "Run!" Kira shouted, grabbing Zara-X's hand. They sprinted for the exit as reality buckled around them. Behind them, Vorax's screams distorted into impossible frequencies as the quantum backlash consumed the chamber. They barely made it to Zara-X's ship, which had been pulled along with them in their quantum jump. As they lifted off, the facility began to collapse, not just physically but quantumly, folding in on itself as spacetime reasserted its natural order. From orbit, they watched as the Arcturus facility disappeared into a quantum singularity, taking with it all traces of Vorax's twisted evolution program. The stabilizer, drained of power but intact, lay quiet in Kira's lap. You knew this would happen? Zara X asked as they set course away from the quantum disturbance. I hoped, Kira replied, still catching her breath. The universe has rules. Break them too severely, and it fights back. All I did was give it the push it needed. And the other quantum shadows? The transformed beings? The effect should cascade through the entire network. Everyone affected by the program will revert to their natural state. Kira turned to her companion, suddenly uncertain. The Confederation won't be happy about this. Zara X's skin rippled with what Kira now recognized as satisfaction. The Confederation needs to change. Perhaps this will be the wake-up call they need. The alien was quiet for a moment before adding, they'll need help understanding what happened. Someone who understands both the science and the ethics involved. Kira smiled, reading the unspoken question. Are you asking me to help reform an alien civilization? I'm asking if you want to continue our partnership, Zara X replied. There's much work to be done, and I've grown rather fond of not killing you. Looking out at the stars, Kira felt a sense of possibility she'd never known before. Her life had changed forever the moment Zara X had stepped into her lab, but now she couldn't imagine it any other way. Well, she said, someone has to make sure the universe stays balanced. Might as well be us. As their ship accelerated into quantum space, Kira thought about the journey ahead. They would face challenges, dangers, and probably more than a few assassination attempts. But together, a human scientist and an alien assassin had already saved reality itself. Whatever came next, they would face it as partners, guardians of the delicate balance between order and chaos, progress and preservation, change and stability. The universe, in all its infinite complexity, seemed to approve.